Hi guys, welcome back to my little corner on BookTube. So today I'm coming in with another book review of The Crossing by Andrew Miller. So let me just give you a brief synopsis of what this book is about. So this book is a literary fiction. It's in the literary fiction genre, and it's basically about Maud, right? I think that's how you say the name, but I'm not sure. M-A-U-D, Maud. But I don't know. It's about Maud. We're basically mainly following her, but the first couple of... This book is sectioned off weirdly. I'll explain it now. But for the first small portion of this book, we're following Maud, and we're also following her boyfriend, Tim. But he actually has a different name. His his birth name is something else, but his name is Tim to her. So we're following the two of them, following Tim and following Maud. And both of these two are like into sailing. So a lot of this book is about like sailing. There's a lot of sailing terms in here, and we just follow the two of them basically through their lives. When we start this book, Maud fell off one of the boats. She literally fell off and then she got back up again. I think she fell 20 feet and she got back up again and kept walking. So obviously that's like, wait, what? So when we start this book, Maud and Tim are not dating. I think they're like, I don't know, acquaintances or something. But then Tim goes with Maud to the hospital, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened with them. Then they do eventually start dating, and then we follow them for a little bit. And then they also, we follow them a little bit, and a lot of other things ensue. You know, like Maud eventually gets pregnant, and you know, she gives birth to a little girl named Zoe. And then we keep going and we follow Maud, Zoe, and Tim. And Zoe's life stops when she's 6 years old. She dies in an accident. And then Tim and Maud split up, and then we're following Maud now when she goes onto this boat trip and basically this journey across the Atlantic Ocean, and all the things she's thinking about during that time, and then, you know, all the different places she's encountering. She's just on the boat for the most part, and her just passing all these different milestones on places. But then something happens to the boat and it gets shipwrecked. What happens to the boat is that during a storm, it starts to actually get really destroyed, to the point where she flew off the boat, but because of some harness thing that she had, she didn't die, but she got severely injured. Like, there was a lot of things that happened in this book. And Maud is also a scientist, I forgot to mention. Yeah, Maud's a scientist, Tim's a musician, and then Zoe's like a child, so obviously she's going to school. But I gave this book 2 stars because I was confused, like, for basically the whole book. I was lost. So I didn't like this book because I was confused most of the time. It was like a lot of sailing terms and stuff. I don't know anything about boats. I don't know anything about sailing, so maybe that contributed to my confusion. But I also remember just when I was reading this book for the first 100 pages, I was just not getting into the writing style. Actually, I only started getting into the writing style when Maud was shipwrecked and actually found I got onto an island basically of like where there's just a bunch of little kids. Like, that's only when I started understanding the writing a little bit, and then I got lost again. So you could say for like 98.9% of this book I was lost. So I didn't like this book at all because of that. I was confused. I didn't understand what was going on. And like when the whole accident happened with Tim and Zoe, I was just like confused because they didn't like the way that Andrew wrote it. I was confused in terms of if Zoe was still alive or not, because she stopped appearing on the pages. And maybe it's because we're following, this is in third person, by the way. This is in third person, and we're following Maud. So for the most part, once we get to a certain portion of the book, we're mainly just following in Maud's perspective. But for the first, I think 100 and something pages, we're following Maud and Tim. It's the two of them that we're seeing, but it's all in third person, so it's not like we're actually in their heads. It's like someone, you know, observing. But the way it was written was really trippy for me. But like a lot of people on Storygraph were giving this 4 or 5 stars, so I believe I'm just dumb. if I have to be completely honest with you, because everyone else was understanding what was going on in this book, and the way that they were explaining their reviews and stuff, I was like, so I'm just stupid is what I'm hearing. Basically, I'm dumb. Because the way that they were writing, I was like, yeah, we read the same story, but like I was confused. I have no idea how you got any of those details from what we read. So I feel like I'm just dumb, honestly. Maybe this book was not for me. Maybe the whole literary fiction genre is just not for me, but I'm not going to write the whole genre off just because of this one book. I want to try at least 2 or 3 more books, 2 to 5 more books before I write off literary fiction, because this one was just very confusing to me, and I was lost. I was actually lost the whole time. I was constantly confused on what was going on, and I was not fully grasping the things that were taking place. Only certain things did I understand, but for the most part I was lost. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why certain things were happening or how certain things were happening. It just, you know, like when there's just like fog all over your head, like there's fog like in your brain. That's what it felt like when I was reading this book, and it was like thick fog, and there was words, and the words were coming together, but I wasn't understanding those things. So I was just really lost for the most part in this book. One thing I found very interesting about the way that the structure of the book is, though, is that it's not like most books where you know there's like 20 chapters or 30 chapters or something like that. This book is split up into a certain amount of parts, and each part starts from chapter 1. So let's say the first part was like, I don't know, for example, like 70 something pages, right? Then there's like 5 to 7 chapters maybe in that 70 something pages, and then it goes to a second part, and it starts from chapter 1 to chapter 5 or 6 or 7 or wherever it stops, and then the third section again, it will start from chapter 1. So I found that very interesting, and each different section started off with a quote that again to me made no sense. I was confused. I didn't understand what the quotes were for, why they were there. Like, again, this is why I'm like, I feel like I'm just dumb. Like, this book was too smart for me, because everyone else seemed to understand what was going on. So that's how I felt about this book. So this is a kind of like a really bad book review, but not necessarily because of Andrew Miller himself. I just think I'm too stupid to understand his writing, or like his writing style is just not for me, because I didn't like the way it was written as well. Like, I was explaining it to my cousin, it felt like I was so distant from the characters that were being written about. So I just think that his writing style is not for me, because I was just lost. But then also maybe it's because there was a lot of words here that I didn't understand, and I was not in the mood to grab my phone and check up every single word, because there was a lot of words here that I didn't understand. So maybe that also contributed to my confusion of a lot of things. But I was just basically confused this whole book. I should have DNF'd it. I should have, but I kept pushing through, because I'm like, I do want to finish this book. You know, I want to see if it gets any better. It didn't. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at the end of the day because I didn't understand it. Yeah, and also the whole concept of, you know, like Maud not really like wanting to be a mother, or she's not sure if she ever wanted to be a mother, because like even the way that her giving birth to Zoe was written so impersonal. Like, it wasn't like it was something happening to her. It was like something being done to her, but it's not something that was taking place literally and she was there. It's like she was observed. The way that it was written here, it was like, and I think it is even said in certain portions when her giving birth to Zoe was taking place, how she felt like she was just observing someone giving birth, but she didn't feel like she was the one giving birth, which is very interesting to see. And then for the most part, we also see that Tim's the one mainly taking care of Zoe, and that's, I think they got into like a car accident or something that resulted in her and Tim and Zoe get into a car accident, and then Zoe ends up dying because of that somehow. I think, I'm not even sure, I think that's how she died. But yeah, and also the dialogue, I'm also realizing, because most of this book there's not a lot of dialogue here, so I'm also realizing for myself personally that when there's not a lot of dialogue, I don't think I'm gonna like it. Or at least a lot of extensive dialogue. because I think it's also because this was written in third person. Because I feel like if it was mainly just descriptions, but it was written in first person, then I might have liked this book a little bit more than this was in third person and all these different descriptions of things that I don't know. So maybe all of that was a contributing factor as to why I didn't like this book personally. But I know a lot of other people in their reviews really enjoyed this book. I didn't. But other people did. So I mean, yeah, there was also like yeah, I mean, people who don't like sex scenes and stuff, just, you know, there was moderate sex scenes. There was a bunch of them, which was annoying. You know, some of them was pretty short, like a paragraph, but then others, they just came out of nowhere, which was really annoying. So I was like, dude, what in heaven's name? Like, I think on the second or third page there was really something. I was like, what is happening here? But I was so confused in the first chapter. Like, I didn't understand what was going on, and I actually thought this was historical fiction in the first chapter because of how confused I was. I was like, oh, this is probably historical fiction, because for the most part in historical fiction, the first couple of chapters I'm always lost. Like, I'm always just not understanding what's going on. But then I checked on Storygraph again, and I was like, oh no, it's literary fiction. Oops. So I don't know personally, I don't know, but I didn't really enjoy this book at all, unfortunately. But I think other people would. If you like literary fiction and you like the exploration of like a woman basically going off into the ocean on her own, and basically running away from things that took place in her life, because that's what she did basically. She ran away from everything that was taking place in her life to go and be on this journey on her own, where she was, I think she was reflecting on some parts, not really reflecting also on other parts. Like, it was very, very interesting. And I also loved the portion, I actually liked this portion of the book when she was on the island with the little kids. Oh, I loved that portion. Like, I thought that portion was so cute. And then she left them. I'm like, are you ever gonna come back for those kids though? Yeah, so she just left those kids out of nowhere. And I was like, bro, what the heck? I mean, not out of nowhere. She left because, well, she wanted to go back home. Yeah, I'm just hoping that she's gonna actually go back and help those children out, because like they're gonna be running out of supplies soon. So yeah, but there was also, even in that part where I did like with the kids and all of that, there was also a whole scene like where Jessica and Theo were with her in the church, and then like Theo was literally like not manhandling, he was like literally holding a whole bunch of snakes, and then he was giving those bunch of snakes to Maud, and then Maud was like holding all these snakes, and then next thing you know, she was like literally bleeding profusely, and she thought she had a miscarriage. And I was like, when did you think you were pregnant? Like, this is what I'm like, I feel like I missed on. I was so lost throughout this whole book. How I went through, I don't know. Till this day, I'm never gonna do this to myself again. If I am this confused in a book, I'm just gonna DNF. Like, I'm not doing this to myself ever again. But yeah, for the most part, I didn't really enjoy this book because I was really confused. But I mean, if you like books about the ocean, about just talking about certain topics, I guess, I was confused, but maybe you might not be confused. So maybe give it a read if you want. So it's not like a, oh my gosh, I love this book, because I gave it 2 stars. I didn't like it at all. I was really confused. Andrew Miller's writing style, I just personally don't think is for me. But I also think it might have been because it was third person, but I'm not sure. We'll see. Maybe his writing style with it being third person combined maybe is what messed it up for me. But other people enjoy his writing style, so give it a go if you want. But it personally was not for me. So yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your week, and I'll see you in another one. Bye.